Hello everyone! So I got a couple requests to do an unpacking video when we got back to just kind of review our bags and review what we brought to see if we would do anything different. You'll see when I open these up, they're not actually packed how I would pack them when we were traveling or doing a travel day, because when we got back I spent the first night at my parents' place, so I needed some stuff from there, and then I moved to the place where Graham and I are living for this summer, and I also needed some stuff, so some stuff had been unpacked already. But for this video I just kind of shoved everything in here for the most part, so it's all good. I'll still do it anyways. So I guess I'll start with this smaller backpack that I brought. So I got this, I'm not sure what the name of it is, but it is from the PackSafe brand, and it's also got like slash proof material. I didn't really put it to use, thank goodness, but that's just there as an added thing. I wasn't sure how this was gonna feel comfortably because you can see that there's kind of this extra material here, and I thought, especially if I had this one in backpack mode and this one on my front, it would kind of irritate me or rub up my neck or anything. But it fit really well. It was comfy to wear on my back for sure, and I would highly recommend it. I absolutely loved it, especially if you just want that added security. And then also on the outside is my trusty Grail water bottle. I absolutely loved this. It was a little bit of a hassle. It's pretty hard to push down, I'm not gonna lie. And for some reason, it didn't happen with Narissa's, but mine would the pressure would build up and shoot water up at me sometimes, so I just had to be very careful with that. I know that especially in Europe, lots of people just drink the tap water and are totally fine. I do know that sometimes I have a little bit of a sensitive stomach, so this was just really nice to have. But I did have the tap water sometime when I was a little bit too lazy to fill this up, and I had already made sure, talking to someone else, that it was good to drink. But yeah, especially for places maybe outside of Europe, or even some countries in Europe where they don't recommend that you drink the tap water, this is such a great water bottle that you can fill it up with pretty much any water source. So if you're doing any little excursions throughout the day, you can just fill it up again from somewhere, which was lovely. I filled this up in some bathrooms sometimes on travel days, so I absolutely loved that. It's just a mess in here right now. In this little pocket here, we brought little Greek and Italian language books. I had looked at them a little bit, not gonna lie, I didn't really look at them at all when we were traveling. We were just learning some phrases by talking to people at the hostels and stuff. But I did have a glance at them. They're just a lot of extra weight and take up space. I don't know if I'd bring them again, especially when you have your phone that you can look up all of this stuff to, but I kind of like having a physical copy of some things. In this pocket, I have different SIM cards. I would recommend bringing some kind of little plastic baggie, or it doesn't even have to be plastic. It's just something where you can put your old SIM card in, where you're not gonna lose it, forget it, snap it if that's possible, so that you know it's there when you get back, because obviously you're gonna want to switch back to your local SIM card when you get back home. Oh, and then here I just have some extra this is a cable for my laptop, some random adapters, fun stuff like that. And then also I have this. So I absolutely love this. We use this so much. This is a portable charger. So it's got a cord that is already attached to it to charge your phone or charge your headphones if you have wireless headphones. And it's a pretty big power bank. It's not super heavy, so I didn't mind bringing it at all. It took a little while to actually charge this thing up, but when it was at full charge, I think it could charge my phone honestly at least 4 times. So it was so wonderful if we were doing an excursion or a day trip, or if we were just out and about for a long period of time throughout the day. And my phone was the one that we would always film on, so obviously my battery would run down quite fast. So having this to just kind of charge it up when we were taking a little break or at a coffee shop was really quite nice. Okay, so This is where it gets a little bit disastrous. I just shoved this all in here this morning. Okay, the first thing that we have is these stasher bags. So I have 2 of them. I would just store them together and as well with my reusable cutlery. So this was so nice to have, especially like me and Narissa made a lot of our own meals, and you know, not every time we're gonna eat them all. So storing our leftovers in bags like these where we can have them like the next day or the day after, or we could take it and put it in our backpack and eat it as like a picnic lunch. It was just absolutely wonderful, and they seal so well, so we never had an issue with like it spilling over in the backpack that we brought. And this cutlery we did forget about these a couple times, but again, they were nice when we did a picnic lunch or anything like that, to just shove them in our bag and then we could eat at like a park or just something like that. Next is toiletries. So I got this Travel-On hanging toiletry bag off of Amazon, and it was really quite cheap, and I absolutely loved it. It worked so well, and it was so nice to just be able to hang it on something and not have to pile everything on like the little edges of the sink, because sometimes you just can't do that in hostels. And it obviously doesn't fit all of my toiletries. I did have another bag. I just kind of split them up between the 2, but this would always be like the essential stuff that I needed to take with me to the bathroom. Another thing that I have in here, when Graham and Sydney came out, I got them to bring me a book. I know lots of people use Kindles because then you can have more than one book and it just takes up, like it's super flat, really light, easy to pack. But because they were only going to be with me for about a month, I really wanted a physical book copy for like the beach and stuff. Once I finished the book, it was kind of a nuisance to carry around because I didn't want to get rid of the book because I really liked it, and it was my mom's, not mine, so I had to keep it with me. So I think if I was going on a longer trip, I would take a Kindle or like something like that, or like read a book on my phone. It's just not as nice, but saves space. I brought a pair of like bigger headphones that I mainly use for editing because it just drowned out a little bit more of the noise than just my regular headphones. And then I also bought this Travel-On World Travel Essentials like organizer cube before I left, so it's got a little pocket in there that I usually kept my phone charger. And then it just had some nice compartmentalization where I could put like my external hard drive, my wireless headphones, which stopped working for me about a month before I got home, which was really sad, and just some like random cables and stuff. So it just helped that they weren't all lying loose in my bag. This, well, I used it to wrap up one of my souvenirs, but I would highly, highly recommend that you bring some kind of reusable bag like this. We took it when we had to go to a laundromat. I just filled up with all of my clothes, or if we were going shopping or to the beach. Honestly, it's just really nice to have. I wish there were some points where I wish both Narissa and I had one, because we were just sharing this one, and sometimes, especially if we were at an Airbnb for a longer period of time and we wanted to buy more items in bulk to last us like a week, we just ran out of space. Oh yes, this was another item I like kind of forgot I had at some point. So I wasn't getting a lot of cold drinks, obviously, so I didn't get a lot of drinks that I needed a straw for. So I didn't really use these all that much, but they're still nice to have. And then another thing I brought was a headlamp, which I also only used a handful of times. We luckily didn't have a lot of travel days where we were in a hostel trying to leave really early in the morning, where I had to kind of pack up in the dark. But when I did, like, this is so, oh my gosh. This was just really nice to have, because then you have both your hands free, and this will just obviously strap to your head and you can kind of see what's going on. And yeah, for the most part, I also had my laptop in here and my binder where I kept a photocopy of all my important documents. It's ripped to shreds now, but it was there and it lasted the whole trip. So that was everything in this bag. And so for this bag, I usually locked up when we were going somewhere. This front pocket with some tech gear, and then obviously the main compartment. And it worked out really great. Really quick, I'm just gonna insert this clip here because I totally forgot to record this. The locks that we brought, I brought one cable and then two of like the stiffer locks. Bring a cable lock because there was sometimes the hostel lockers would not fit the stiffer locks and it would only accommodate these cable locks. I wish I honestly brought two of them because this one I liked to put on my suitcase. So having one for the suitcase and one for the locker would be huge. Okay, that's it. Back to the video. Okay, before we move on to this bag, I thought I would just review the shoes and the jackets that I brought because I didn't want to put them back in here, so they're just floating around. So I brought these, I think they're called, like, it's the On brand. I absolutely love them. I wore them every single day when it was cold. When it started getting hot, I moved to my sandals, but even on travel days, I would wear these. The grip is amazing. For any of the hikes that we did, it was more than enough. I put my own insoles in here, so I had really good arch support. I really beat these things because they are fraying in quite a few places. I mean, I'm still gonna wear them when I'm here at home. I loved them. So I debated bringing two different pairs of running shoes on this trip, and honestly, I'm really glad that I didn't. Bringing another pair and having to pack another pair on travel days would just wouldn't be the greatest for me personally. Having one pair was more than enough. And the other pair of shoes I got was my Birkenstocks, and I have been wearing Birkenstocks for years. They're always my go-to. These ones might need replacing soon enough. I've also worn them down quite a bit. However, when it did get hot, which I would say we spent the majority of our trip colder rather than hotter, when it did get hot and we were going to beaches and stuff, they were predominantly rock beaches. So it would have been really nice to have a pair of sandals that I could get wet. It's just, you're not really supposed to get cork wet, and it really just degrades the shoe a lot faster, so I never took them in the water. I mean, for this specific trip, because it was colder for more than it was hotter, I'm perfectly content with these two shoes, but I would say if we had hotter weather for longer, I would have liked to bring a pair of waterproof shoes, but for this trip, I was perfectly fine with those two. And then the three jackets I brought a hoodie. It was bulky, but I just wore it on all of our travel days, which was no problem in obviously the colder months. But when it got warmer and I wasn't gonna want to wear a sweater or a jacket, it did get bulky to carry, but still I would have brought a sweater. Sometimes I wish I had two sweaters, but one was more than enough for me. And then I brought a rain jacket. So this rain jacket is from Patagonia. I love it. It does not pack down as easily as some of the other rain jackets that are out there, I would say, but it is really durable and it was just a really good quality rain jacket. So glad I brought this. Marissa almost debated not bringing a rain jacket on this trip, and she would have been so miserable. I would recommend on any trip, pack a rain jacket because you can't control the weather. You don't know what the weather's gonna be like. For this trip specifically, a rain jacket was very nice. And then the other jacket that I brought was a jacket from Arc'teryx. It's the Atom LT. It's just like a lightweight insulation piece, which I did not know how much I would come to need this jacket on this trip. I think when me and Narissa thought Europe, we just think, oh, it's gotta be warmer than Canada. And it is, for sure. It's warmer than Canada, but it was still cold for a very long time when we were there. So there were some times when I would be wearing my sweater and this insulation piece and my rain jacket to then block out some of the wind. So there was times where I wish I had another little piece to bring, but I'll get more into that later when I go through the clothes. Okay, so before I open this up, I have the Sojourn 45-liter Osprey bag. This is my first time doing a carry-on size. I would always travel with my family with a 65-liter backpack. Love carry-on size. Absolutely love it. I will never go back to carrying a big backpack. And what's extra special about this one is this one converts. I have it in suitcase mode right now, but it does convert into the backpack. And I would say at the beginning of my trip, on most travel days, I would have it in backpack mode. We started in Athens, which is a little bit more of like a busy city and stuff like that. So I just felt more comfortable having all my stuff on me. But as the trip progressed, you can tell in the videos on all of our travel days, I ended up just using this, wheeling this like a suitcase, like almost every time we were traveling to a different place. If I ever did feel like it was super busy and I just wanted it on me, I didn't feel comfortable, I would convert it. It doesn't take that long. But honestly, for Europe, this trip was beautiful. I loved it because my smaller backpack is quite heavy. So having the choice to roll this and then just have my day backpack on my back as opposed to my front was wonderful. And I've heard from so many people that cobblestone, which is very common in Europe, is wheels nightmare. But these, I was not easy on this bag, not at all. I was chucking this around, kicking it to get it back into the place, and I had no issues. No issues whatsoever. This bag held up. There's obviously lots of scuffs because I was not easy on this, but it's a bag, so you know it's meant to be tossed around a little bit. I would say though, yes, this bag was 5 liters more than Narissa's. Hers was a 40-liter bag. Because hers was actually built to be a backpack and only a backpack. It held the weight a lot better than this one does, especially just with the added weight of like this sturdy structure down here. When I did have it in backpack mode, if I was wearing it for a long period of time, like the pressure was a lot on my hips, just it hit this a little bit. So I think if I was going to a place where I knew I was gonna have it in backpack mode way more than I would have it in a suitcase mode, I would just opt to get a backpack like Narissa's. But for this trip, for Europe and the places that we went in Europe, loved this bag. Could not say more great things about this bag. The only other difference though, I will say, is that this doesn't, because I had packing cubes, it didn't matter, but this doesn't have a lot of compartmentalization on it. Like Narissa's has a front pocket that has a whole bunch of different like sections. This is just one big opening. So yes, this is just, everything is thrown in here. So this is not how I packed it, I promise you. So starting off just from the top, this was the other toiletry bag that I had that I predominantly just kept my makeup in, like some extra toiletries. And then I also brought a toque. And oh my goodness, I did not think I would wear this as much as I did. It was cold. I would highly recommend, if you're going the same months as we did, bring a toque. And then I also brought this little travel pillow, which I wasn't really sure. I was like, will it be a waste of space? But I actually, when I used it, I didn't use it a lot, but when I used it, I was very thankful for it. There was some times where the hostel pillow just wasn't really doing it for me, so I'd use this, or on overnight ferries or overnight buses, or on like travel days where we were flying. This was really nice to have. And then I also brought bar shampoo and conditioner, and I love them. I use bar shampoo and conditioner, so it wasn't like a new thing for me. The only thing that I wish I would have brought, I'm not sure what it's made out of, but it's just like a little piece of cloth. But it's not like cloth material. I'm not sure what it is, but there's things that you can set soaps on so that they dry a lot faster. So I would have honestly, since I packed down to nothing, brought 2 of them so that I could place my shampoo and my conditioner on those and they would be fully dry before we left to the next place. And I feel like that would have prolonged the life of them like substantially, because you know, if they're wet, it's kind of eating away at your shampoo and conditioner. So that would be a huge hack. And the other like little accessory things that I brought, obviously rain covers for both my suitcase and my day backpack are a must. They're bulky, but when it rains, then all your stuff is protected. And I also brought this silk traveler sleeping liner, which thankfully I didn't really feel like I needed to use a lot. Lots of the places that we were staying at, I felt were really clean. There was a couple hostels though where I did sleep in this, and it's just really nice because you just have like a protective layer almost between you and the bedding. So it's honestly a really nice piece to have just in case you do need it. Oh, and then I brought a little purse that I would use if we were just going out for the day and we weren't bringing like the blue backpack that we would usually bring. It was really nice. I really like it. It does have lockable, like the zippers. You can clip them to this little piece here and then you can't open it. What else? Deodorant, obviously. And then I have like my emergency medical kit. It is a little bit bulky just because I did leave them in the bottles. I didn't mind. If you do want to save a little bit more space, you could put them in like a Ziploc bag just so they're a little bit compressed. But for me, it was fine. It didn't bother me. And then moving on, pack towel. Loved it. So good. Dries so quickly, and yeah, I just absolutely love it. I got the beach towel size one, which is their biggest size, and I would honestly recommend it. I know that Graham had the body size, which was one below, which was really nice for showers and stuff, but on the beach, like, this is such a better size to be able to then lay down on it. Graham's was quite small. And then I brought this little face towel. It's just like a microfiber cloth. So this one actually dried really fast as well, which was very lovely. There were some points where I wish I brought two of them because this one was dirty and I wasn't doing laundry soon. So then I just ended up using my pack towel as my face towel. So if I had room, I would bring an extra one. And then getting into the packing cubes, in this double-sided one, I had my socks and my underwear, and on the mesh side is where I would put them all when they were clean, and then as they got dirty, I moved them to the non-mesh side, the non-breathable side, that they would just stay in there until I had to do laundry. And it was just a really nice system of separating the dirty from the clean. And so the socks that I brought, which was a game changer, was Smart Wool socks. So they're made out of merino wool. I originally only had one pair, and then I was gonna bring 3 cotton socks. But I think a couple days before we left, I really impulsively went and I bought 3 more pairs, so that I just brought 4 pairs of merino wool socks, and they were wonderful. There was not one point where my feet were smelly. The socks, I could wear them for a couple days before I just swapped them out. But even then when I was swapping them out, they weren't like ridiculously smelly. So I love them. And then I had 2 big packing cubes. Now I know some people really like to use lots of smaller ones so you get even more separation. I was fine with 2 big ones. It really didn't bother me that much. Because of the time of year that Narissa and I went to Europe, we kind of had 2 different climates in a way. I would say from January all the way until, honestly, March, it was quite cold, with January and February being really quite cold. We were wearing so many layers every single day. Did not touch our summer clothes, our tank tops, until I would say April. What I would do, this cube would pack my shirts and like my pajamas. Generally, it switched up a little bit when I was traveling, but I had all my summer stuff on the bottom that I did not touch at all, and then all of my long sleeves and my t-shirts up here so that I only ever had to be rummaging through half of it at a time. You can go back and watch mine and Narissa's packing videos if you want to know the specific items of clothing that I brought. I don't really feel the need to show you every single piece. I am pretty happy with what I brought. However, I would say for the shirts especially, if I would have known how cold it was gonna be and for how long, I just would have packed another long sleeve. I only had one casual long sleeve and then one, like, I wouldn't say fancy, but like a nicer cropped long sleeve. But the only thing with that is that it just wasn't comfortable to layer on top or underneath a whole bunch of things. It was only comfortable when I just wore it with like one little jacket on top. So I generally wore my casual one a lot more. So I wish I brought another one, honestly. Yeah, I would have for sure brought another long sleeve or another t-shirt and just gotten rid of like 2 tank tops, because I would have been fine wearing the same 3 tank tops when it actually got warm, to know that I had more choices when it was cold. But that is just me. It's hard to think back then of like how I felt, because the last 2 weeks before we got back home, it was like 27 degrees Celsius and sunny every single day. So it was so hot. So it's hard to picture how cold we actually were. But yeah, I probably would have brought another long sleeve. That was the one thing that I was like, wish I had. So that's all of the tops and things. And I did also in here is 3 sports bras. And then in this one, I would pack my dress and like all of my pants and my shorts and stuff. So again, I did the same thing. Put my shorts on the bottom because I did not touch them for the first couple months of our trip. And then I brought leggings and a pair of like Lululemon, just lightweight pants, and then a pair of jeans, which actually ripped on me halfway through the trip. So I had to leave them behind, and then I went thrift shopping and got a new pair, and I brought like a pair of workout shorts, and then I just had like biker shorts and jean shorts and a pair of like looser, flowier shorts for when it got hotter. Loved it. I was really happy with all of the pants that I brought, so yeah. Okay. I think that's it. Yeah, that's all of my stuff. So overall, I'm really happy with everything that I brought. However, it just really did end up being colder than we were expecting. So just switching out some summer clothes for more warmer clothes. I just would have preferred wearing like more of the same thing over and over again when it was hot, and then having that opportunity to wear different clothes, because I ended up wearing the same outfit pretty much every single day when it was cold. So just having more options for the cold than for the hot would honestly be the only really big thing that I would change in my wardrobe. So yeah, I hope this helped you. I hope that you've watched the packing videos so you can kind of see in more detail everything that we brought and maybe some of our reasoning why. But from the end of the trip, this is kind of what I think. Comment below if you have any questions at all, but I hope this was informative and you enjoyed it and it wasn't too long. So thank you guys so much, and I will see you in the next one. I'll show you one pair if I have. Nope, I don't know where they are. Oh, we needed warmer clothes for longer than we needed cold, or does that make sense? I brought, do I want to unpack it all? Oh, my legs. Oh my gosh. Oh, that hurt.